Welcome back to another episode of Divine Data. Today I'm with Robin Arnott in the forests of Austin, Texas. How are you today, Robin?
Good, thank you, Samantha.
Awesome. So Robin has a really cool project that he's been working on for quite some time. It's called SoundSelf. Do you want to explain what SoundSelf is to us?
Sure. So I'm a game designer and have been for years, and I had this insight almost a decade ago now that so video games bring you into trances, and I just had this insight. It was shortly after my first oneness experience where I realized you could use a video game's trance to pull a person into a deep state of stillness and help them see through the illusion of separateness that we carry. Just like meditation, I think of meditation as a game. It is a game. It's a set of rules, but the byproduct of playing by those set of rules is that you shift into a state where the normal fluctuations of your mind are less shiny, and you can just feel a deeper quality of truth. So SoundSelf is a game that draws a lot more inspiration. You don't have to think about it as a game, like some people are like, but I think of it as a game because that's my craft. I'm a game designer. So it's an experience that draws a lot more inspiration from meditation technologies and practices and rituals and the thousands of years of iteration that have been put into how do we transcend the mind. There are so many practices out there, and it takes a lot of those practices and adapts them into the full technological sophistication and power that is available, trance-inducing power that's available with video games. So it starts with your voice. It was inspired by group ohms. So you tone, let's just tone together. You want to do that for a moment?
Let's do it.
So I'll tell you that you keep toning for a moment and I'll just speak for a bit. So when you're toning, you're stimulating the vagus nerve, and this is obviously there's so much that's going on, and it's cool to see science kind of beginning to catch up with this spiritual wisdom. So to speak in those terms, you're stimulating the vagus nerve, which activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which slows you down. I'm speaking in more spiritual terms. You're really bringing your attention to your body, surrendering into a slower breath cycle, which allows you to let go of aspects of yourself. I find chanting to be incredibly powerful. So SoundSelf takes that loop, chanting, and combines it with an audiovisual feedback system that's listening to your voice constantly and responding to you, encouraging you to tone and breathe, to help pull you into a, how do I even describe it? A unitive state of consciousness. And so I've been working on this for about 8 years, and we're finding people, we call it a technodelic because it's a technological psychedelic, and psychedelics obviously there's so much to describe what that experience is. But I was specifically targeting the unitive consciousness aspect of what a psychedelic can do to a person. And we find with SoundSelf it can induce unitive states of consciousness with similar reliability to psilocybin. And that's just with a computer and a microphone and a pair of headphones in a dark room.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty cool.
So I got to experience SoundSelf, 2 years ago for the first time at Voice and Exit, which is now Future Frontiers.
So you got to see a sneak preview of it, because it only just came out.
Yeah, I just got right in right when it was beginning. I got to have a little taste of it, and it was one of the more transformative experiences that I've had in such a short period of time that had, no psychedelics, no breath work necessarily done with it. It was very simplistic and complex.
It's exactly it. It's simple and complex.
And it's really beautiful because it allows you to also realize how healing your own instrument is. And furthermore, for me as a person who I grew up around, I had a lot of guy friends, right? So we played a lot of video games, but there was a point in which I would be at their house and I would be like, why am I hanging out with you guys? You're not here. No one is here. This isn't connective anymore. You're more connected to this random person that you're murking on some video game. And why are we so violent? And so I stepped away from gaming completely. Yep. I couldn't agree with the culture anymore because I didn't know what benefits it was bringing to people. And to see someone who's, been in the gaming world, who's a creator in the gaming world, use this for, expanding our consciousness for healing purposes. It's really magnificent. And I think that will be a nice thing for the gaming world to start shifting into.
I totally agree. And so to me, I see this as a Trojan horse for some deeper values for gaming. Now, there's people, like probably the people listening to this and tuning into this, who are already tuned into a lot of this. But what I see with gamers is low-hanging fruit for consciousness development, because these are people. I think the thing that unifies gamers is that they're interested in having experiences, novel experiences that take them somewhere. And the thing is, once you have a real experience of depth and presence, it's the most entertaining thing ever. And we don't talk about it in those terms, because those terms become kind of shallow. But once you have that experience, it's I know so many people who once you begin to get a taste of it, that first taste, you get drawn into practices and so on. And it's not really just about chasing the peaks, although I think that's certainly a phase of it. It's about developing something, and about tuning your body to a higher frequency. So gamers are looking for exactly that. They're just not using that language. And so to me, using the language of a video game to provide an altered state gives this experience, gives that experience of transformation, makes it available to a lot more people, and also frankly makes the practices that we use to reach those states and to develop our consciousness much more available and playful, especially for people who haven't had those experiences before. Now, I think like SoundSelf, for people who are psychonauts and who are already meditating and so on, SoundSelf is like a piece of entertainment that's like made for you. But for people who have not been introduced to that, it's a wonderful introduction, because it can just pull you there without needing you to develop your discipline.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people have a hard time even considering meditation, because they're like, shut my thoughts off. I have to just sit there. And
I get it.
I get it too.
Yeah.
I struggle. I know that. I mean, I'm human, and look, I'm a meditation guide. I teach yoga. I'm super in that world, but I'm also human, and I also sometimes struggle to keep up with that discipline, to find the time to do it. But then when we are like, oh, it's a game, it's like, this is going to bring us into an altered state already, but oh wait, this is completely different than any other video game I've ever played, because it's geared towards that healing. It's geared towards that expansion.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. And I think that we need to be able to find more discipline in even our like gaming practices.
I think a culture where we compartmentalize things we do for joy from things we do to take care of ourselves, that shows a wound in the culture. If you think about where our souls belong, and there's so much, and I'm not here to like rail on our culture. There's many beautiful things about our culture, but we're all here to do healing work for ourselves and for the whole of humanity, and part of that includes healing our culture. And I just see where you see a schism like that, it indicates a place where there's opportunity for deeper healing. Now, why do many of us think of something we do for fun as being separate for something we do for healing? I mean, in our, to put it most, I guess, clearly, it's the difference between entertainment, and what comes to mind for that might be like watching sports or playing a video game or something, versus what you do for healing. And in our Western culture, that healing looks like going to a sterile environment with an expert who's going to tell you about your body in 15 minutes and shame you into some rigmarole that uses some pharmaceutical or something. It's totally disjointed. Totally. And it works in certain instances, but like there is something here that isn't working. So to me, it's about like oh man, everybody I know can think of a work of art that has transformed them, and very few people I know can think of a pharmaceutical intervention that has transformed them. Right. But we don't think about art as doing the serious healing work when I think it profoundly is.
Oh, it profoundly is. I mean, dancing is
Dancing,
healing.
yeah.
I mean, I picked up a paintbrush after years of not painting, saying I couldn't paint anymore. I mean, who can't paint?
Yeah.
First of all, that's just a lie. And who can't dance? Everybody can dance. Just wiggle your body. That movement, like, "Ugh, this is dancing, you know? Like, and that's what energy is. Energy and motion, emotion, and like that's what emotion is, and that's what we need to be able to understand is that they can come hand in hand, and that's
Not only can they, but they have to.
They have to. And I think that, you know, I know a lot of parents who, I'm not even a parent, but I have parents come and ask me like, oh, I don't know what to do with my kid. You know, they don't even pay attention to me. They just want to play on the video games, and they say all these mean things to their friends on the video games and this and that. And I just don't like the culture. And, well, now we have, you know, SoundSelf and this opportunity, this Trojan horse that's coming in to show that like we can meld those worlds together. We can make it, you know, creative and fun and energizing while also doing that deep healing work.
I see people come out of SoundSelf. I have this one guy, which I got on camera, but he said he was in such a vulnerable state afterwards that when he realized he was being recorded, he was like, you can't share that. So, but he's given me permission to share the audio of it. And I wish I could share the video because like he was in tears and, having a real hard time describing his experience, and all he could say is like, I have one sensation moving through my body, and that's that I'm vibrating. And I had no idea that this was possible, and I haven't felt this level of stillness ever. And that's something we see like pretty regularly. And to think like, so it might be useful to get away from the game metaphor here, or the game narrative here a little bit, just because like people have an idea of what game is, but to think like a piece of, you know, we even make this compartmentalization with technology, with electronic technology, as being somehow bad or somehow like distracting, because it is in many cases, but it's just a tool. And we bring that together with the ancient wisdom, and you have an incredible, remarkable gift that's really only possible when you combine the hundreds of years we've put into developing the industrial electronic machine with the thousands and thousands of, and maybe longer, you know, who knows how long humans have been practicing introspection and spirituality, you know, at least tens of thousands of years of development of lineages of peace. You merge these things, two things together, and you have such a unique gift that's really only possible right now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a really remarkable time to be alive and to be able to implement, you know, these old ancient philosophies with our new technologies, and to be able to like even realize that it's just about how we use these tools. Like you said, it's what we consume, mind, body, and soul. So, you know, Instagram can be one of the most like conscious, uplifting, and expanding tools if you follow the right people. You know, what does that even mean? But the people that are on the path that you seek, that's how you can learn and grow.
Yeah, my girlfriend uses Instagram to follow people who, to use, I'm not remembering her name, I wish I could, but the word is like an expander, someone who is in your field to teach you something and help you grow.
Exactly. And I think that's also really beautiful. Obviously, it's a networking device. You know, we get to stay in touch with people. We get to go search through a hashtag, and through that hashtag find someone that we may have never found, that's all the way across the world, but has this wisdom that really resonates with us, with our soul's path and our journey and all of the things. And so I think that it is really just, it doesn't even have to be, I don't even consider SoundSelf like, I mean, it's a game, but it's also a healing tool, and it's also like this portal to other dimensions, if you will, to then bring you back to that vibration, that stillness.
That's available for anyone.
That's available for anyone.
Super scalable. You don't need to go to spend thousands of dollars on a retreat. You don't need to, you know, it's like, it's just the right use of technology.
Yeah, you don't have to take a substance, because a lot of people think, oh, if I have an ayahuasca experience, then maybe I'll find that stillness. No, like, you don't even need to do that. And that's what's really important about it. And I think that, you know, we need to pay attention to leaders like yourself that are out there and showing the way and shining that light on this accessibility and potentiality to use gaming and social media and all of the technological tools that may be looked at as negative in a really positive, healing light.
Thank you. Yeah, I like the way you say it. I really want to heal just the schism. I do it as well. You know, it's like you mentioned Instagram, and my gut response was like, ugh. Like, because it's not a tool I've learned how to use. So when I use Instagram, Facebook, any of these social media, I just get like it touches the thing in me that is like the most addictive. I see like anything, and I want to challenge anyone who's listening to this right now, find something that for you seems like obviously outside the domain of spirituality and healing and well-being. I'll say some low-hanging fruit. Might be social media, might be politics, might be here, give me some. What's one for you? What's one for you that, like, to you is like obviously not good for healing? It's a whole domain of human
Drinking alcohol.
Alcohol. Wow. And that's great because, like, for me, and I'm glad that you brought that one up, because, like, for me, alcohol, I definitely have a healing relationship with it, which I learned in grieving. You know, I remember my sister died, and my family and I were drinking together, and being able to be in that state of drunkenness together helped us grieve. And now I have a relationship with alcohol that's positive and helps me loosen up and helps me like feel myself more. And I don't do it very much because it like with anything, there's just a certain amount. But the point I want to make is like anything that you think like that you compartmentalize into like that's not the thing that we need. It's actually part of what we need, because otherwise it wouldn't be here. And I think the work of our generation is integrating the pieces so that the whole can behave with more wisdom.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that that's beyond just our generation. I think that might be the human experience. I think that that's like, that's what we're supposed to be doing, you know, lifetime after lifetime, is we're expanding the collective consciousness. So all of these pieces are all integral pieces. They wouldn't be here. They wouldn't exist if they weren't. And I'm not even trying to get too spiritual about that, but like we are learning from literally every single thing on this planet. You know, I learned from a cigarette that I smoked, even from because maybe I got it from a person who told me a story that then expanded my consciousness. I don't know. Maybe I'm learning about how to actually take care of my body, and this thing isn't good for me while I'm doing it. Or maybe with the alcohol, like you have a healing relationship around it, and I have a relationship with it that repelled me from ever doing it. But now we get to like be here as reflections and mirrors of that, and be able to say like, well, hey, like it isn't bad for everybody, and it isn't good for everybody. And we get to like learn about all of the different fractals of that oneness, of that consciousness that we all, I believe, came from. You know, I think that in technical terms, we're like from a cloud consciousness, and we've all trickled down as different fractals of it to teach each other about all of the different aspects of life, every flavor, every scent, every touch, every feel, everything, you know?
And I see myself and my work here very much as a teacher and healer, specifically in the domain of video games and of that kind of electronic entertainment, and bringing that together with healing wisdom. And my hope is that if, 10 years, 20 years with continued attention to this space, my hope is to bring transformative experiences as we know them into the whole industry and economy and ecology of video games, so that, like, look, you were talking about your parent friends who are like concerned about their kids playing video games. Like, I want parents to be excited about the games that they're offering to their children, not only for their intellectual development, which we see already available with things like Minecraft, and not only for their, say, emotional development, which I think is happening to some degree on multiplayer games when they're learning to work together, but also their spiritual development.
Totally. I think that is that's what I am excited about SoundSelf. You know, I was telling you earlier that I was in Costa Rica with my friend Marisa, and I hear a commercial on her computer. She's like, come look at this, my friend just showed, and it's a commercial for SoundSelf. And like, it really does excite people. And when I saw it again, because I had never seen any commercials for it, I just experienced it luckily like at this conference that we met at. And when I saw it out there and I could see how it lit not just my friend up, but relit me up, got me excited about it. Like, that's how I can see how it could just trickle out to everyone else, and then be that Trojan horse, like you're saying, and open these doors for the video gaming world to become a conscious space as well. Because I'm sure that, there's no like negative intention behind creating these games, and I don't want to look at video gaming as bad, because I do think that there's so much you can learn, and like, like so many kids are so far beyond me, like technology wise, just because they grew up with these video games. And so if we can also like, meld those worlds and really make that a thing. Like I have a friend who's she's working on creating a virtual reality game teaching consciousness to kids and adults, but it's supposed to be of all age ranges. And if we can, you know, all work together and continue to create that space in the gaming world, I'm all for it. My kids will totally be playing SoundSelf and all of the things when they're growing up. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so is it available? Is it out yet?
Yes,
How do we get it?
You can go to soundself.com, or if you can remember one more thing, soundself.com/trial, TRIAL, and SoundSelf is SOUNDSELF. We're offering a free trial to people, so you can try it for 48 hours, make sure it works on your computer, see if it's your cup of tea, and then the experience itself is, right now it's $29.
Okay, and what kind of setup do you need at home?
You just need a computer and a microphone and a pair of headphones and a dark room. It's really important to be able to turn off the lights, and I recommend making a little bit of a ceremony around it. So make yourself some tea. If you're in a place where it's legal or you have access, smoke a little bit of indica, just a little bit will just like, and then begin the experience. And it's it's what it is. And I'm happy to offer your viewers a discount. If you come up with a discount code right now, we could just like make something like that available to them.
Absolutely. Whatever the website is /divine data sounds good, or however we can do some code for divine data, and we can put that in the episode's description.
Good.
That would be awesome.
I'll set that up.
Thank you. I'm sure everyone would appreciate that. I'm super excited to experience it again and to show more and more people.
It's come a long way since you tried it. It's like so much of what the core experience was there from a very early time, which is like, okay, so once you get in there and you're chanting, we could reliably produce a unitive state of consciousness within 15 minutes or so. But the thing that was difficult from a design perspective was, how do we get a person to surrender enough to that, to trust because it's so unlike anything that I think's ever existed in the gaming world or even just on a computer. So like, how to get a person, so we created this tutorial sequence with a tree and just like the menu experience. The whole thing really comes together nicely as a piece. And all of that is new since you tried it.
I'm so excited to see it. I think this is the perfect time too for it to be coming out and to be coming
because a lot of people are stuck at home, and a lot of people this is such a pattern interrupt moment. We were just talking about this before coming on. Such a pattern interrupt moment, and people are you see kind of two responses, and I actually think you see two responses in all of us. It's not like there's the people who are afraid and there's people who are taking this as an opportunity. I think there's I know for me, there's ways that fear shows up for me. It's not necessarily like fear of what's going on out there so much as like fear of how I'm dealing with my relationships in here, and then there's the opportunity as well. But as far as the opportunity is concerned, we're all individually and as a collective forced to take a moment to look at our lives, look at our habits, and I think it's a really magical moment to look at our technology and ask, can I have a better relationship with this? And my hope is that SoundSelf can be a way not only to give people these transformative experiences with their computer at home, but also through that to open people's minds to what's really possible with a technological medium that they might have a difficult relationship with. Like, I know when I look at my screen, it doesn't sometimes it feels like it's sucking me. So it's like, how can I have a more constructive, beatific relationship with this thing? And that's my hope, is that people can use this to improve their whole relationship with technology.
Absolutely. And I think that we do need to step away from the evils of technology while we're in this time and space of where it is what's connecting us, and it is also,
man, that's been hard for me. It's true because unfortunately, as much as we want to say I don't want to have this much screen time, this, that, and the other thing, we're in a time where we need to be on our screens a bit more so that we can connect, so that we can stay communicating with and assembling with our people, so that we can continue thriving personally and creating collectively, and not living in fear.
And not living
when we
in
isolate
fear.
ourselves, it's
Absolutely. And we can sit there and we can watch all of the news and we can just like bite our nails and be terrified, or we can try and use this time as a self-healing practice, a way to connect again, a way to connect with our technology in a healthy way, instead of just using it to binge watch shows, which again, human, guilty of having done so, but
And it's not necessarily bad.
It's not necessarily bad, but if that's the only way we're using technology and we're not finding balance, that's when it can get a little bit dangerous. And I do, the only fear I'm holding on to is a fear of our people becoming so closed off and separated and divided, and
I carry that too.
And using the technology in the negative ways instead of SoundSelf and connecting and learning through, you know, mediums like Instagram and Twitter and all that, because you can find a lot of positivity through it all. And so yeah, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Robin. I would love to keep talking, but I'm sure we could talk for hours. Let's do this again some other time.
Good. Well, you live here now.
I live here now in Austin for the moment.
We can do another one of these.
Yes, for sure.
And to remind your viewers, just at the end, it's soundself.com, and the code is going to be divine data. All capitals.
All
divine
capitals.
data.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Woo!